Good morning, my dear students. Once again, I am here to take your geography class. Today, I am going to discuss the next chapter of your geography, that is geography grid, lines of latitudes, and lines of longitudes. Before we are going to discuss in detail about the lines of latitudes and the lines of longitudes, let me tell you what do you mean by the term geographic grid. Geographic grid is nothing but network of the lines running from north to south and east to west. When they intersect to each other, they form a grid. This network of grid together we call geographic grid. All of you know, Earth is so vast. Unless we adopt a mathematical tools, it is very difficult for us to locate any place on the earth. That is why we have drawn such line on the globes, though actually on the earth there is no such line. So in order to locate any place on the earth, we have adopted the system of grid system, and this system of grids help us to locate any place on the earth. So the lines running from north to south is called the lines of longitude. The lines of longitudes. On the other hand, the lines running from east to west are called the lines of parallels or lines of latitudes. These are the reference lines. These are the reference line. On the basis of these reference line, we locate any place on the others, any place on the earth. Not only that, first Eratosthenes, first scientist who had first measured the circumference of the earth, had devised the lines of latitudes and the longitudes. These grid lines serve the same purpose what the coordinates of y-axis and the x-axis in the graph paper perform. Same functions. The lines of latitude running from east to west are considered as the x-axis on the globe. On the other hand, the lines running from north to south, we considered them as the y-axis. So with the help of these lines of latitudes and the lines of longitudes, we locate place on the earth. Without these lines, without these reference lines, we cannot locate any place on the earth. So this is the importance of the grid line or the grid system. So now next question, what do you mean by the lines of latitudes and lines of longitudes, and what are their characteristics? The lines of latitudes refers to those lines which join the places having the same latitudes. Lines of latitudes are the imaginary line which join the places having the same latitudes. In other words, we can say the lines of latitudes are the angular distance of a place to the north and south of the equator. Lines of latitudes are the angular distance of a place to the north and south of the equator. This is how we can explain and define the lines of latitudes. So how many lines of latitudes are there on the globes? How many lines of latitudes are there on the globe? If we consider it as the equator, if I consider it as the equator with 0 degree values, 0 degree values, equator. If you consider it equator, we will see from equator towards the north there are 90. There are 90 number of latitudes. On the other hand, from 0 to the south there is another 90. That means there are total 180 number of the lines of latitudes. The equator lie between the poles, so it is the common. So it is the common. If you include the equator, the number goes to 181. If you subtract equator, the number minus 1, that means 179. You will see there are various. There is in various books the numbers are, some books 181 and some books there are 179, but this is the number of lines of latitudes. Thirdly, every lines of latitudes have the numbers of the degree. Every lines of latitudes have the numbers and the degrees, and that degrees begins with the equator with degrees 0 degree. Equator is the 0 degree. If you move from equator towards the north, it comes to end to the North Pole, which bears the 90 degree values. 90 degree values. Similarly, in the southern part, if you move from equator to the south, it comes to end 90 degrees south, 90 degrees south, 90 degrees south. Naturally, total numbers of lines of latitude on the globe, that is 180. And now their numbers goes on increasing from equator towards the North Pole. Here also their number goes to increasing from equator to the South Pole. Other important characteristics of the lines of latitudes. The lines of latitudes are full circle. The lines of latitudes are full circle. They are not half circle. They are all full circle, like that. The lines of latitudes are full circle. The lines of latitudes are full circle. Full circle. They are not half circle. They are not semi-circle. Number 5, the lines of latitudes. The length of the lines of latitudes are also not equal, are not same. The largest lines of latitude is the equator. If we move from equator to North Pole and the South Pole, the length of the lines of latitudes going to decreases gradually. Going to decreases gradually. Going to decreases gradually. That means the lines of latitudes are not equal. The lines of latitudes are also known as the lines of parallel. The lines of latitudes are also known as lines of parallel, since they are parallel to the equator. All are parallel to each other. If it is the equator, then this is the parallel line, this is another parallel line, this is another parallel line, this is another dot. Similarly, this side also parallel lines, and at the pole it becomes a dot. It becomes a dot. So lines of latitude are also known as the lines of parallels, since they are parallel to each other. So these are the characteristics of the lines of latitudes. Keep in mind here, these lines of latitudes we indicate either by giving N or S or S. What is N or S? Is nothing. It indicates north of the equator, north of the equator and south of the equator. So we must always mention the suffix either N or the S, which indicates the north and the south. Another important thing, just now I told you, there are total 180 number of lines of latitudes. At the end, the North Pole 90 degree north and South Pole 90 degrees south. Beyond the North Pole and South Pole, there is no any presence of the lines of latitudes. Beyond that, we cannot see any lines of latitudes. Or higher the 90 degree latitudes or 90 degree south latitude, we cannot see any lines of latitudes. So North Pole is the end, South Pole is the end. But among all these lines of latitudes, the very important, the lines of latitude which lie between the North Pole and the South Pole, this is the equator. This is the equator. Just now I told you, equator is the largest lines of latitude. The length of the equator just equal to circumference of the earth. And this is the only great circle. What is great circle? The great circle is the imaginary line which divides the earth into two equal halves, into two equal parts. So equator is the only line which divides the earth into two equal halves. Northern part, this is known as northern hemisphere. This is known as northern hemisphere. From the equator, the southern part is known as southern hemisphere. So equator is one of the important reference line. Equator is one of the important reference line. If you want to find out location of any place, either to the north or the south, equator mark as the reference line. We always measure the distance of any place locating to the north or the south from the center of the equator. So this is one of the important reference line, and this is the only great circle which divides the earth into two equal parts, two equal halves, that is the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. Except the equator, all are the small circle. This is only equator is a great circle. Except equator, all the lines are small circles. Next, we are going to discuss the important lines of latitudes. Which are the important lines of latitudes? So number one, just now I told you. Number one, the equator. Number one, equator 0 degree. Equator 0 degree. Number one. Second, the North Pole. Second, the North Pole 90 degree north. Third, the South Pole. Third, the South Pole 90 degree south. 90 degree south. Fourth, the Tropic of Cancer. Tropic of Cancer 23rd half degree north. Fifth, Tropic of Capricorn. Tropic of Capricorn 23rd half degree south. Sixth, Arctic Circle. Arctic Circle 66 half degree north. Seventh, Antarctic Circle. Antarctic Circle. Antarctic Circle 66 half degree south. So these are the important lines of latitude which act as the reference lines. These are the lines which act as the reference line and help us to locate place on the globe. They also help us to find out the distance of a place locating either to the north or south from the equator. So these are all important lines of latitudes. Number one, the equator 0 degree, North Pole 90 degree north, South Pole 90 degrees south, Tropic of Cancer to the third half degree north, Tropic of Capricorn to the third half degree south, Arctic Circle 66 half degree north, Antarctic Circle 66 half degree south. So these 7 are important lines of latitudes. Next, just now I told you there are total 180 number of lines of latitudes. Okay, if we divide this entire globe, if we divide into 4, this is 90 degree, this is 0 degree. So 0 to 90 and 0 to 90, 90 plus 90, and every 1 degree, every after 1 degree there is a 1 lines of latitudes. 1 degree to 2 degree, 2 degree to 3 degree. So every after 1 degree interval we get a new latitudes. Now my simple question to all of you: 1 degree equal to how much distance we are traveling on the globe, and how we will calculate it, the distance of 1 degree. So just now I told you, we know that the circumference of the earth first time had measured accurately by Eratosthenes. The circumference of earth approximately 40,000 kilometer, 40,000 kilometer or 2500 miles, 2500 miles, 40,000 kilometer or 2500 miles, 25,000 miles. Just now I told you the equator is the great circle, highest length covering the equator, and the length of the equator is just equal to circumference of the earth. The circumference of any circle, is 360 degree, 360 degree. The circumference of the circle, since the earth is also a circle, naturally its circumference is 360 degree. Naturally 1 degree equal to then 40,000 divided by 360, it will be approx 1 kilometer. That means 1 degree means we are traveling on the ground 111 kilometer. So when we will move from 1 degree to the next degree, that means actually we are traveling, we are walking 111 kilometer, 111 kilometer. Suppose the Delhi is located 30 degree north of the equator. Now if I asked you what is the distance of Delhi from the equator, so it is very easy to get. How will you calculate the distance of Delhi from the equator? So 1 degree equal to means 111 kilometer, and 30 degree equal to 1 into 30 kilometer, 30 kilometer. This will gives us the total distance of the Delhi from the equator. Similarly, we can easily find out the distance of Mumbai, which is located 19 degree north now from the equator. 19 degree north of equator. If we multiply 19 degree with 111 kilometer, we easily get the distance of Mumbai from the equator. So this is very easy. How to calculate the distance of any place located on the Earth's surface from the equator, either to the north or to the south. So 1 degree equal to means 111 kilometer on the earth surface. So this is how we will calculate the distance of a place. Then what are the uses of the lines of latitudes? There are 3 uses of the lines of latitudes. Number 1, to find out the location of any place. To find out, number 1, to find out location of any place on the earth. Second, to find out distance of a place on the earth. Third, it also helps us to know the climate of a place on the earth. So these are the 3 uses of the lines of latitudes. The lines of latitude help us to know, number 1, the location of any place on the earth. Second, to find out distance. Just now I told you how to calculate the distance, of a place. Third, to know the climate of a place. So these are the 3 important uses of the lines of latitudes. Just how will we find out the location of place? Just now I told you Delhi is located between the lines of latitude and longitude, where they intersect 30 degree north and 77 degree east longitudes. 77 degree east longitude. The intersecting point of these two lines, find out the location of Delhi on the earth. We can say Delhi is located, the intersecting point of the lines of latitude bearing 30 degree north and lines of longitudes bearing the 77 degree east longitude. That means Delhi is situated north of the equator and eastern hemisphere from the prime meridian. This is the location of Delhi. So we can easily find out the location of any place with the help of the lines of latitudes and the longitudes. The intersecting point between this line to gives us the exact location of any place. If you want to know precisely, more exactly the location of any place, 1 degree equal to 60 minutes. 60 minutes. Similarly, 1 minute equal to 60 seconds. That is the smaller values. These smaller values precisely exactly tell us the location of any place on the globe. Third important thing, just now I told you, these help us also to know the climate of India. The lines of latitudes also demarcated the heat zones of the earth. All of you know, and you have learned perhaps in class 6 or 7, we have 3 heat zones on the globe. Number 1, the torrid zones. Second, the temperate zones. Third, the frigid zones. these three different zones on the globe demarcated by the lines of latitudes. Lines of latitudes. Suppose it is the equator. It is the equator. So this is the zone. This is the zone. What we call the? This is the zone of torrid zone. This is the torrid zone. 0 degree, 23rd half degree north, 23rd half degree south. This is the torrid zone. This is one of the hottest zone of the world. Why? Because this is the only zone which gets throughout the year direct ray of the sun. It's get heated the landmass more quickly. So naturally the continent or those countries which are located in this zone normally experience a high temperature throughout the year. This is the only zone lies between the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn to the south. This is the heat zones of the earth. Second, the temperate zone. What is the meaning of the word temperate? Neither too hot nor too cold. Temperate zone which lies between the Tropic of Cancer and Arctic Circle and Tropic of Capricorn to Antarctic Circle. This is called torrid zone. The sunlight here not spread, not falls directly. Instead of directly, it falls slantingly or obliquely. Naturally, do not hit a landmass more quickly. Naturally, this is one of the most comfort and pleasant zone of the earth. It is neither too hot nor too cold. Here is a very mild and pleasant weather you can experience or enjoy in the temperate zone. Last one, the Physic Zone. Physic Zone from Arctic Circle to North Pole and Antarctic Circle to South Pole. This is a small zone, what we call the Physic Zone. Physic means this is the zone of permanent frozen. This is zone of permanent frozen. Permanent frozen. Throughout the years, there is a permanent ice. We can see the ice. Because of what? Because the sunlight do not reach to the Physic Zone. If it reaches there, it is too little to hit the landmass. So naturally, those countries and those continents, especially located in the Physic Zone, they experience a cold, severe cold throughout the year. Severe cold throughout the year, like the Siberian regions, like the Antarctica. These are known as permanent Physic Zone. Sunlight do not reach there. If they reach, it is very little amount which do not allow or hit the landmass very quickly. So this is about the heat zones, the torrid zone, temperate zone and the Physic Zone. So these are the uses of lines of latitudes. Number one, once more I am repeating. First, to find out the location of any place. Second, to find out distance of a place from the equator. And third, to find out the climate of the place. So these are the various uses of lines of latitudes. Thank you.